What is up, guys? This is AlintheaYoh coming at you today with an overview of the new cards for the Demise archetype. I would say archetype, kind of archetype, I guess it is now really. From the cybernetic set that is coming out in the OCG, that is Cybernetic Horizon. And we're just going to go over some of the cards, well, all of the Demise-esque cards, and just to give them a bit of a discussion. So the first one is Demise, Supreme King of Armageddon. It's a level 10 Fiend Ritual with 3000 attack, 3000 defense. Can be ritual summoned using Endless of the World. This card's name is treated as Demise, King of Armageddon while it's in your hand or on the field. While this ritual summon card is in the monster zone, ritual summon monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. If this card was ritual summoned using only ritual monsters, you do not need to pay any life points to activate this card's effect. And once per turn you can pay 2000 life points. Destroy as many other cards on the field as possible, and if you do, inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each of the cards they controlled that were destroyed. Next up is Ruin, General Queen of Oblivion, Light, level 10, Fairy, 2900 attack, 3000 defense, can be ritual summoned the same way, is treated as Ruin, Queen of Oblivion. When this ritual summon monster is in the ritual zone, ritual monsters can be destroyed by card effects. If this ritual summon monster is only ritual summoned using ritual monsters, it can attack twice during each battle phase. And if this card destroys an opponent's monster, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. Next up, the little support cards, which are quite cool and cute, to be honest, is Demise, Fiend of Armageddon. Fiend, Ritual, 1800 attack, 1000 defense. Can be ritual summoned the same way. This card's name is treated as Demise, King of Armageddon while it's on your hand beside the field. If this card is ritual summoned, destroy one face-up monster on the field. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up ritual monster you control. While that monster is face-up on the field, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to your ritual monster's activations. Next up, Ruin, Angel of Oblivion, level 4, Light Fairy, 1700 attacks, 1000 defense. All the same stuff as above, really. If it's ritual summoned, you activate this effect. This card can attack 2 monsters during the battle phase. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up ritual monster you control. When a ritual monster you control declares an attack, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects. Next up, we have the field spell, which is an interesting one, Break of the World. Once per turn, you can target one ritual monster you control, reveal one ritual monster in your hand, and if you do, for the rest of the turn, keep it revealed and have its level become the targeting monster's level. Once per turn, if a Ruin or Demise is ritual summoned to the field, you can activate one of the following effects: draw a card, destroy one card. Then the ritual spell is Endless of the World. Tribute monsters you control whose levels are equal to or exceed the level of Ruin or Demise you ritual summon. After that, ritual summon it from your hand during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard. You can shuffle this card from your graveyard into the deck and add one End of World from your deck to your hand. Then you can add one Ruin or Demise from your graveyard to your hand. And then the final card in the support is a continuous trap card, which is Ruin, Return of the World. You can only use one effect of these once per turn. When this card resolves, banish one ritual monster from your deck. You can send this card from the graveyard, activate one of the following effects: ritual summon the ritual monster banished by this card's effect, either by tributing one monster in your hand or on the field whose levels are equal to or exceed the banished monster, or by shuffling into the deck one ritual monster from your graveyard whose levels are equal to or exceed the banished monster. Or you can add that monster banished by this card's effect to your hand. And breathe. That is a lot of effects right there. That is a lot of monsters to take it. That is just a lot of cards and information to take in general. So the important thing to note is basically this new Demise cards, which is pretty cool. It was kind of rumoured a little bit that we knew it was going to happen. Overall, if we want to give a very quick TLDR kind of brief overview, which some of you might want, the support is alright. That's kind of the easiest way to talk about it. It's alright. It's nothing special, it's nothing like absolutely amazing, but what it is, it's really cool. So Demise, King of Armageddon, and Ruin, the Queen of Oblivion, are some of my favourite cards and some of my favourite Ultimate Rare cards, as you saw in a Ultimate Rare video that I did not too long ago. I don't really know where the support kind of sits, to be honest, because Demise and Ruin were always kind of polar opposite cards in the sense. Demise nuked everything and then Ruin could attack twice, but it was very unlikely you could achieve both of them at the same time. You know, the whole point was you would go Ruin and then Demise, or Demise then Ruin, but it didn't really work out in that sense. Having the little babies is actually quite nice. I actually quite like them and I think they're fairly decent. It's interesting that they all count as either Demise or Ruin, respectively, of course. The benefit of that is that you, for one, have it link in with the field spell, because if you summon one of the level 4s, then the field spell kicks in, being able to draw a card or being able to pop a card, and you probably want to be able to draw a card because that's pretty ridiculous. However, can be able to pop a card, considering if it's a potential card that you might be wanting to block on your opponent's side of the field. They may have some counter setup, but the secondary effect of that is, I would assume, kind of null and void for Demise if you're going to be summoning it, because you can just destroy cards. Now, if you are using the little Demise, when it's ritual summoned, you can destroy a face-up card in the field. So if you combine it with the field spell, that's 2 pops you can do, so that's not too bad. Ultimately, if you are summoning, for example, Ruin, that means that you can potentially clear out a card on your opponent's board, so you can get those double attacks in. The stats are pretty decent. I'm quite surprised that Ruin Angel of Oblivion's got, like, you know, fairly offensive stats. I know 1/7 isn't nothing to really brag about, but I thought it would mirror the original Ruin and the boss Ruin, and the fact that it's a little bit more defensive. But, you know, it's a bit strange that they would have like 2/9 with 3000 defense and then have it as be in offensive attacking cards. But nevertheless, it's still pretty cool. Ruin also being at... I'm actually going to have to stop calling it Ruin and call it by what it is. But Supreme King is actually, you know, pretty beefy, 3k, 3k. Level 10 is a little bit weird. It'd be quite interesting to see how we can involve the, you know, Cyber Angels with this as well, because being able to protect them, being able to add some couple of boss monsters in there, might be a nice, interesting deck to gel with. Supreme King's effect, or the main effect, is once per turn you can pay 2k life points, and that's null and void with the previous effect that if you did use a ritual monster to summon this, then there you go. Then you don't have to pay the 2000 life points, but you do destroy as many cards on the field as possible, and if you do, then inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each card that was destroyed that they controlled. It would be nice if it was just all cards that were controlled, because that would rack up some possibly hefty damage. Essentially, one of the really nice redeeming factors of this whole deck is the field spell, and Konami obviously really pushing the field spells recently. It's really nice to see the effect of once per turn you can target one ritual monster you control, then reveal one from your hand, and basically then they become the same level. It basically means that if you do, for example, have a level 4 Ruin out, any of them, the Demise or the Ruin, and you have the big boss monster in your hand, you can activate the field effect, reveal it, target one of your, you know, ritual Ruins, the little level 4s, and then it becomes level 10. So it means that you can you only really need to tribute one monster for that, and that's that. And then you also subsequently get the effect off, or meet the requirement that you have tributed a ritual monster. So it is nice synergy with them. I actually do quite like it. The one downside to this, of course, is that you can't use pre-preparational rites, because quite simply they have their own names. The Demise Supreme King of Armageddon, but you can pre-prep the original monsters, the original Demise King of Armageddon, but it is because they count as Demise King of Armageddon and Ruin Queen of Oblivion respectively once they're in their hands, not when they're in their deck, so therefore pre-prep won't be able to grab them. Now that is a big shame, because, you know, it would have been nice if you could be able to pre-prep them. They should have just had that generic spell card, that ritual spell card that allowed you to ritual summon either or, but at the same time it might have made it slightly ridiculous. What am I saying? It wouldn't have even made it ridiculous in the slightest, because of the amount of, you know, effort that needs to go into ritual summoning these days. There are some nice support cards that have come out that are off-themed that are potentially decent, and I will be talking about them in a later video. But the idea of having a Ruin/Demise deck is one that isn't really there just yet, and I don't think, looking at the support, it will be at all. As I said, there are some really nice plays that you can do, and there is a new rarity as well, which the cover art, which, you know, Ruin looks absolutely sick, and I wonder if that set's going to be out when I'm in Japan, because I might look at picking some of them up just for the funsies. Ruin's secondary, or Ruin's last effect really, if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. Is fairly decent, because there are some potential, like, big damage OTKs or definitely not FTKs, but so OTK possibilities, and the fact that it can attack twice, and then your opponent can't respond when you're attacking if you fulfill the requirements. And being able to put damage on board and then having 2/9 is not too bad, but it's just that little bit mediocre. Their double attacking was never really good, or hasn't been good since Cyber Twin Dragon, sorry. I honestly feel it's a little bit underwhelming. The support is honestly underwhelming. I'm not knocking it in any way, shape or form, but it's not going to be meta. The only possible good card is Demise Supreme King of Armageddon, just because it can blow up the field, and just because it has that potential nuke that could go through. It's with the field spell, it's fairly easy to achieve its kind of goals and summon it quite easily. But at the same time, it would have been nice if you could just search them with pre-prep, because it would kind of just make it a bit of a functioning deck. And you wouldn't have to rely on some horrible monsters. I say horrible, but you know, your standard monsters like Manju or the new plant support that's coming out, that's the generic ritual stuff. It would be nice if you didn't have to rely on them, to be honest, to have to get to them, because then you have to look at all the other card effects and start relying on things like ritual sanctuaries and all this stuff, which just isn't really what you want to do. So I want to know what you guys think of the ritual Armageddon support. Do you think it's any good? Do you think it could potentially do something in the meta, or do you just think it's a bit of a fan service one? But nevertheless, I think it is absolutely awesome to see anyway. And I'll probably get it and probably do a deck profile in the future. So as I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I shall catch you guys later.